Hey, and welcome back. It's Mind Your Money Monday, and I am Callis, entrepreneur, here to share with you guys how to lower the cost of credit. Thanks for joining me live again and catching this on the replay. If you have not subscribed, hit the subscribe button, you guys, so you can catch it whenever we go live with new videos, new content here on the channel and here in our community. So let's jump in, you guys. There are certain things that we are identified and defined by. And one of those things seems to be those numbers, right? We have our social security number, we have our bank number, we have our investment portfolio number, we have our insurance number. I mean, we have all these numbers. All of that is great, but the three numbers those three numbers that really define us are those FICO numbers, right? Are those credit score numbers. So I'm here tonight to share with you guys how to understand what your FICO is, right? How to correct some of those errors in your credit report and learn how to boost those credit scores. So I'm here to share with you a couple of resources. So let's get started. I hope you guys brought your journal out because this is going to be packed with some goodies tonight, you guys. So let's jump right in it. So let's start with what is the FICO Score? Everybody's heard it. It's Fair Isaac Corporation that started it to bring a more unified system that everyone can follow when it comes to purchasing a home, purchasing an automobile, personal loans, credit cards, store credit, some right now, jobs, insurance policies, a lot of different things are contingent on these numbers, and it's called the FICO Score, you guys. It's called the FICO Score. So one great thing that I love that our government put in place is the annual credit report, and everybody has access to one of each of their credit reports from Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And you can get that over at annualcreditreport.com. If you have not seen what the numbers are or what's in the file, that's your first step into lowering the cost of credit, understanding what's in your file, because we all have a file. You may not have a number if you don't have any credit lines of credit. However, we all have a number, you guys. So remember, you have access to a free report over at annualcreditreport.com. It will ask you for your name, address. If you have not lived at the address for more than 2 years, you'll need to plug in your previous address in there. Good evening. I'm here. So, you need to be able to plug in that information when it comes to the FICO. It's going to ask you to verify that information. Basic information, date of birth, address, name. If you have not lived at your address for more than 2 years, it's going to ask that you bring in your previous address to verify. And then it's going to ask you some questions to identify yourself, to make sure that they're pulling the right credit file and they're speaking to the right person. So they may ask you about a loan that you might have. They might ask you to verify a previous address, a street that you may have lived on. You'll see all kind of questions that comes up. If it does not apply to you, you say that this does not apply to you. So after going through all of that, the system will shoot out what's on that particular file. Remember, there's going to be 3 of them: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. Now, the thing about annual credit report, you will have to go into each one individually. So once you go into your TransUnion report, download it, save it, you now have it. Then you need to go in and pull the file there. Some individuals like to space out which file that they're going to use. So this month, they might pull the TransUnion. 4 months from now, they'll pull their Equifax. The next one, they'll pull their Experian. Me personally, I like to tell myself to go ahead and pull them all. When I used to do credit restoration, I had my clients pull all of them at the same time, so we have a clear picture if things are not correct on there, and if it's reporting to all three at the same time. Now is the best time to go ahead and dispute any type of errors that might be on there. All the credit reporting agencies now have it where you can start the dispute process right there online should you find some errors. And I promise you, 99% of the credit reports out there has some type of error. It can be the date that you open. It could have been the date that you close. It might be showing that you missed a payment. There was no payment missed. It can have anything. And Lord forbid you have a very common name. It's not uncommon that you have somebody else's information on your report. You see that a lot as well when there's a lot of juniors, seniors, the third, the fourth, or the moms have the same name. You'll see that happen on your credit report. So that is the time that you want to go pencil and paper on there. Also, you're looking for duplicate accounts. You're looking at accounts that may have been resold over time. You just want to be able to download all that information, get your pen and paper, spot check every single one of those, and then begin the dispute process, because most accounts are holding anywhere from 5 to 35 points on your account, especially if it's incorrect. You guys, you want to make sure it's on there. Sometimes you'll see where there was a request for an inquiry on your credit report and you never even applied. I was a victim of identity theft. When I first moved to Houston, I lost my wallet. I did not know I was a victim of identity theft until I went to go purchase my first car. And the salesman was from a specific town. He was like, "Oh, you're from such and such, or you live there. That's my hometown." I'm like, "Sir, I'm new to Houston. I don't even know that town you're talking about." And come to find out, we had individuals that had opened up student loans, an apartment in another city with my name. So I had to go through the whole process, police report, filing, putting a freeze on my credit report, just to block that information for anybody else that would try to use that information going forward. So that's another thing that you're checking for. You want to make sure that no one is there trying to use your number, which is that social security number, to gain accounts. Because just because you might not be utilizing credit, there might be a thief that might be using your information. So we're checking for all of that. Errors, duplications, things that you know that you have not applied for that might be showing on there. If you do happen to come across that you were a victim of identity theft, just instantly you can move on there. You'll see all those inquiries and those requests to freeze your particular credit report on there. Here's a side note for that. If we have elderly parents, we need to help them check their credit reports, because a lot of our senior citizens have accounts open where thieves have gotten attached to their information. So if you have an elderly parent and they have really great credit, we need to put a freeze on that, especially when they know that they're not going to be making any type of purchases, because it just leaves them open for identity theft. We just live in a digital age where so many systems and banks and things like that are getting hacked. We can protect ourselves, but we can also protect our loved ones, our senior citizens on that. So understanding what the FICO score, how you can get free access. Now, trust me, there's going to be all kind of links out there and searches out there. Once you go to annual, you don't need to go to free annual. You need to go to annualcreditreport.com. When you get there, again, you can download for free. Now, the scores you have to purchase. The scores are not free. The scores do have to be purchased. I love to use myfico.com because when I'm looking for my scores, myfico.com will give you your scores based on if you're doing an automotive, mortgage, insurance. You'll see all those score ratings for each one of those bureaus on there, and those are the most accurate scores. Yes, there's Credit Karma, all of these other ones out there. Those scores are Vantage scores. They are not the true FICO score that banks and lenders use. So if you know that we're going to go and do the free annual credit report, we're going to go pull all those things down. We're going to do all the checks and balances to make sure things are right. Should all the information be correct and you're ready to now know the score, I would suggest that you go to myfico.com. You do have Credit Karma and all those other ones that will give you a bird's eye view of what your score is, but it's a Vantage score. That score, it tends to be higher than what the true FICO score is rather than what the score is. So it can be inflated or deflated. It's not the most accurate. Banks use FICO scores, you guys. So keep that in mind when you're looking at your credit, where to go, what to pull, who's to do, boom, boom, boom. So we talked about how to handle some of those credit reports. The first step, if you're finding errors, is to go right directly to the source. You guys, most of them have online access now to dispute. You get your results within 30 days, and you begin there. You start there. If you're not getting the results from that point, you might then have to send a validation notice over to your creditors that are reporting on your report. You will see the name of the creditor. You will also see the address and the phone number for you to call. A lot of them to know and understand, but it is so needed. We're talking about today lowering the cost of credit. Remember on our last video, we talked about reducing our expenses. Sometimes we might be in a position that we need to refinance something to reduce our monthly expense, but you got to know your credit. Okay, because it doesn't do you any good to go and apply for these things when your credit is jacked up or information is incorrect. So let's fix that information, determine what the scores are, then we can work on boosting that credit score, right? Again, unfortunately, we're defined by numbers. The Social Security number and the FICO number, you guys, especially if you're in a space that you want to go out to outsource outside lending, or if you already have outside lending, but you want to refinance for a lower cost. You've got to go back to those 3-digit numbers. Those numbers can range anywhere from 300 to 850. The average in the U.S. is about 726. Anybody with 700 and above, they consider that prime scores, you guys. You get the best rates based on that 700 and going up. Now, there's other factors that make up your credit score. It's going to be on-time payments, right? That's one way to boost your credit score. Start making those payments on time. You'd be surprised what 3 to 6 months of on-time payments, especially if you've been in a habit of always being late. 3 to 6 months of you can reset your credit score just by paying those bills on time. Number 2, not closing some old accounts, you guys. Leave some of those old accounts on there because your credit score is based on the age of your credit. Do not get in the habit of trying to apply here, apply there, because all of that weighs on your score too. It makes a lender see that, okay, you're just grabbing anything. You're out for anyone that's going to give you a line of credit. So make it systematic. If you're shopping for a car loan, we do all of that within one window because it shows a lender, okay, you are shopping. So all the inquiries is in this small window of time. It's not this week, then next week, then the next week after that. It's a small window, but we don't want to go shopping until we know those numbers. We've fixed any errors. We start making on-time payments. We're not closing old accounts. Our debt to income ratio is reducing, or our debt to limit ratio is reducing. I did not know better use. Okay, well, guess what? You know now, right, Johanna? Most people don't realize the oldest account, I don't care if it's a 200 line of credit, if it's the oldest thing, that is what it's establishing. So if you had an account open for 15 years and you closed it and it only left you accounts that you've opened up in the last 3 years because you have a better understanding of credit, guess what you did? Your credit score just dropped because that's a percentage of your credit score that makes up length of history. Keep that in mind, you guys. We talked about boosting that score, paying the bills on time, bringing down the debt to limit ratio. If it's $1,000 line limit and you have it up to $900, that's a no bueno. That's affecting your score as well. No more than 30% of your limit should be used at any given time. That's why you find when you start paying your car loans, your mortgages, and all of that down each month, you notice that your score is going up because the ratio limit is decreasing. So if you have credit cards, if you have a line of credit, and that balance is high and you're using more than 30%, you're seeing a hit. So once you begin to bring that balance down, you will see that score skyrocket. You'll see it a lot on credit cards, skyrocket, super duper fast. 10% to 0 to 10 is ideal. But if you have to hold a line of credit, you don't want to keep it to more than 30% on there, you guys. Let me see. Again, don't be going out there shopping all these different loans and trying to get credit cards and all of that in this short period of time. It shows that I'm hungry and I'm just trying to grab for whatever it is that you're trying to get established. Loan, car loan, mortgage, whatever. Most important thing that you can do is start with identifying what's on that report first. Check for inaccuracies, dispute inaccuracies. Once that's cleared up, then we request a score. I know it sounds like a process, you guys. And that's the thing. Most human beings, we don't want to be patient. We don't want to trust the process. And that was one of the things I had to tell my clients back in the day when I had my credit restoration company is, listen, we need at least 6 months. You took a lifetime to mess this stuff up. Just give me 6 months. Let's begin to create some new habits, start to boost this score slowly, start to pay your bills on time over this 6 months. You're going to see all our efforts in one pay off. Here's another booster that I love and I share with everybody. It's Self-Lender. So Self-Lender is an online saving CD platform, which allows you to select a certain amount of money that you're putting aside into a CD over a period of time, 1 year to 2 years, small amount based on the budget that you want to set aside. It reports that payment every 30 days to each one of your credit reports. It's like a new credit line. Also, the benefit of Self-Lender, as you're creating that CD, they also have it where you can get a secured card based on what you've already saved on there. So if you're doing a $50 a month, once you do 3 months on time and you've established, they will set aside where you can apply immediately. It's usually 100% approval because you already have that money set aside to set up a secured card against that. But it's a win-win. My clients saw their scores skyrocket again over time. 6 months minimum, year is optimal. In order to get it, because we're in a season that things are beginning to shift. A lot of us are business owners. We want to scale up, and capital is our biggest problem. And when you go to apply for these loans, they're looking at your personal credit. They're not looking at your business credit. They're looking at your personal credit. So we have to get those things in alignment, you guys. I know I shared a lot tonight, but it's all about lowering the cost of credit. I know we're defined by these numbers. So since we're defined by these numbers, let's get a handle on these numbers. If you have not downloaded your free credit reports, go to annualcreditreport.com. When you're ready, move on to myfico.com. When we're ready to boost, we're going to go to Self-Lender. And I believe self is self.com. But you can Google Self-Lender and you can go ahead and put that in there. Actually, I'll put a link for Self-Lender in there for you guys as a resource. So it was Mind Your Money Monday, you guys, and we were back talking about lowering the cost of credit. We'll be back next Monday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here in our Facebook community. You guys, do me a favor, invite some folks that need this information. New season, new president, new things are happening, new growth, you guys, and let's start with getting some new numbers. So I thank you guys for joining us live. I look forward to seeing you next week for another episode of Mind Your Money. Appreciate you guys being here. Have a great evening.